Hello, my friends. For several days in a row now, we've been witnessing the Russians making advances again. Even though military support for Ukraine continues, the Ukrainian armed forces have been unable to stop them. The advantage in manpower and equipment is overwhelming, so the situation remains extremely difficult. Let's start with the Pokrovsk direction, as this section of the front remains the top priority for the Russians. Over the past 2 days, they've managed to make significant progress. Today, they are attempting to assault Myrolюбivka and Vozdvizhenka to reach the highway and move toward encircling Myrnograd and Pokrovsk. At the same time, they are extending the front line from Novogorodivka toward the village of Shevchenka to also encircle Pokrovsk from there. It's been repeatedly stated that this move has been in the works, but nothing seems to change. The Russians are steadily executing their plans. Meanwhile, assaults on Lysivka continue as they try to break through closer to Pokrovsk. Near Myrnograd, however, the situation is critical. The Russians are already near the city's outskirts. They've managed to take control over Mykolaiivka and are now pushing further. Although the Ukrainian armed forces are trying to repel the assault, the situation remains extremely tense. Further south, things are also tough. The Russians are continuing assaults on Selidove, Tsukurine, and Hernik. The Ukrainian armed forces have even reported that the Russians are moving to encircle Hernik, having already reached the outskirts near Izmailivka. Overall, the situation is worsening bit by bit each day. In the Kurakhove direction, the Russians are continuing assaults around Katerynivka and the village of Kostiantynivka. A few days ago, they managed to advance another kilometer here. The assaults continue. As we can see, their gains come at a great cost, but village by village, they continue pushing forward. Recently, we discussed how long the Russians had been storming Novomykhailivka. Now we see that two more villages have fallen under their control. So, though it's slow, the movement is ongoing. And in the Vuhledar direction, the situation is extremely difficult. However, there is still hope that after the capture of Vuhledar, the Russians won't achieve a major breakthrough. The battle here will likely continue for every meter of ground. Today, fighting is ongoing around Bogoyavlenka, and the Russians are actively shelling the settlement. The Ukrainian armed forces have reported that the withdrawal from Vuhledar was very challenging. In the Zaporizhzhia direction, activity has also intensified. The Russians are advancing towards Novodanilivka, assaulting Mali Sherbaki and Kamiansk. The situation is tense, but for now, the Ukrainian armed forces have managed to repel all attacks, and the front line hasn't changed in the last 24 hours. It appears that the Russians are conducting assaults to test the Ukrainian armed forces' defenses. If they manage to break through, they will likely bring in major reserves to launch larger scale offensive actions. It's clear that their goal is to reach Zaporizhzhia is still in place. This is because Russia has officially claimed that Zaporizhzhia is part of their territory, yet they haven't been able to reach the region's borders and are now trying to do so. In the Kherson direction, only shelling is ongoing at the moment without any offensive actions, and the front line has remained unchanged over the past day. Now let's return to the Donetsk direction, specifically to Toretsk, where the situation is also catastrophic. The Russians are practically in the center of Toretsk and the assaults continue non-stop. A significant portion of the front line has fallen under their control within the last 24 hours. The Russians are also pushing toward Sherbinivka and Petrivka, but for now, Ukrainian forces are managing to hold them off. Meanwhile, the shelling across the entire area remains relentless. In the Chasiv Yar direction, the Russians have also become more active. They are attempting to stretch the northern flank to encircle Chasiv Yar, advancing toward Maiske and the village of Markove. They are also shelling the entire frontline area to destroy Ukrainian positions, but so far they have been unable to secure a foothold. Likewise, they continue efforts to break through directly across the canal on the city's outskirts, but their situation remains unchanged. Further south, the Russians are trying to advance toward the village of Stupachki. Reports indicate clashes near the fields of Klishchiivka and Andreevka, but no significant changes have been recorded on the front line in the last 24 hours. Shelling continues at an intense level. In the Siversk direction, the situation is stable for now. The Russians have halted all attacks. However, Russia's Minister of Defense has claimed full control over the village of Verkhnyo-Kamensk. Although no official confirmation has been provided, only unofficial statements in Telegram channels. In the Crimea direction, after prolonged attempts to advance toward the river, the Russians have begun regrouping as they failed to achieve any success. The front line remains unchanged as it has been for some time. In the Svatove area, the Russian forces continue the attacks on Vishneve and are shelling the region. They are attempting to expand their controlled territory in areas where they have seen some progress. Their primary goal remains reaching Borova. Further south, all attacks have ceased for now, and reports of Russian forces about capturing the village of Makiyevka remain unconfirmed. In the Kupiansk direction, Russian forces have ramped up their activity to the maximum, conducting assaults along almost the entire front line. They are also shelling Kupiansk and all nearby frontline settlements. However, no new advancements by Russian troops have been recorded in the past 24 hours. In the Kharkiv direction, the Russians continue their shelling and offensive actions near Staritsa and Vovchansk. Despite this, their front line remains unchanged. As for the Kursk direction, there have been no significant updates. Ukrainian forces haven't advanced, and the Russian counteroffensive appears to have stalled once again. Neither side has been able to make any notable progress, leading to a stabilized situation, though the shelling of border settlements continues. And that's all from me. So please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.